We are going to get some injury news, a lot to talk about. DJ Reader, players placed on injured reserve, 53-man roster. Let's go. If you're a fan of the Detroit Lions, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That's what it's all about, is continuing to grow the channel here. Soon we're going to have other content creators on here, just waiting for that to drop. Let's get into the Lions news. First Lions news here we're going to get into is players placed on injured reserve. We have had Emmanuel Moseley placed on injured reserve. You can have two players placed on that without having to be added to the 53-man roster. John Kaminsky potentially could be the other one right now, right? We don't really know. It could be a Futu Mafan, but right now we got Emmanuel Moseley. He's placed on injured reserve. Christian Mahogany staying in the NFI list. That means, again, he's not going to play for the first 4 weeks. That's okay. We weren't expecting that. He missed all of training camp, so we are good to go right there. Let's get into some more Lions injury news. Dan Campbell spoke on players returning because a lot of them have returned. Here is what he said. He says, everybody out there we talked about, I mentioned, man, it was good to have them out there. We got them out. It was about an hour. We'll let them compete against each other, a couple team peers and individuals so guys get worked on. It's kind of pushing our hearts rate a little bit. I know, I can imagine, but it was good just to see Sam LaPorta out there a few times. Jahmyr Gibbs, Malcolm Rodrigo worked in, Kevin Zeitler, DJ Reader. It's a first, even though it's a walkthrough. Good to have him out there. He is a big man. He's a big man. He and Alim McNeill, Mac over there together. Mac's going to need to do squats. Continue on. It's good looking crew. It's good to have our guys working together. Terrian Arnold, Carlton Davis, Ennis Rakestraw, all returning. This is great news. Return timetable for DJ Reader to play on the field. Says, I'd love to say we're targeting week 1. We're just going to take it as it comes, Campbell said. We're always said long-term, so we're kind of shooting for week 2 versus Tampa. Look, our eyes are open. We're going to pay close attention to see how he does. Feels kind of go there if sooner. So it looks like DJ Reader is going to return to action. Could be week 2. He may miss week 1 against the Rams, but they're returning week 2. Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam LaPorta, Kevin Zeitler, Malcolm Rodriguez, we just talked about, DJ Reed, Carlton Davis, Rakestraw, Arnold, all returned. All returned to practice. Great news for the Lions. It's great. It's a great day for the Lions. We've dealt with injuries just like any other team. We were super smart about it. We were careful. And now our big-time starters are going to be returning, including DJ Reader, within a week or two between week 1 and week 2. That's amazing news. Amazing news. In the comment section, what is your thoughts on this right now, really quick? The Lions injuries. My initial thoughts is it's great news. That's all I can say is really great news. When you're getting healthy towards week 1, that is definitely the oddball, right? But it is truth. Let's talk a little bit about the roster here. And I did my 53-man roster prediction video on my personal channel, but I want to talk about one specific position that I put on there. I only put 4 receivers on there. Isaiah Williams was the 4th receiver. That is clearly not enough to have. So, what I'm trying to say is, I fully expect the Lions to scoop up a wide receiver very soon, within the next 48 hours. Will there be a trade? Right? We're seeing rumors all over the place right now of wide receivers potentially on the move. Houston Texans has been the team I'm looking at because they got a plethora of wide receivers. There's some big names that they have on the potential trade for those guys. And it's crazy, but it's true. Juju Smith-Schuster, you're not going to get him. Why? Because they Already signed him, being the Kansas City Chiefs. Signed him. Also, Sterling Shepard was released from the Buccaneers, so another wide receiver here. Here's the name I was talking about. John Mechie is available in a trade. Several teams have reached out to the Houston Texans. Doesn't mean he's going to get traded, but several teams have reached out to the Houston Texans to see if John Mechie would be available in a trade, and you would have to assume one of those teams is the Detroit Lions. Houston Texans, John Mechie had 100 receiving touchdown in preseason. Yep. Matt Corral was released from the Vikings. So, what I'm trying to say is here, the Lions could look at John Mechie. I'm not saying they are, but they're looking for receivers. They're making phone calls. They have to be. I mean, right now, you can't put Donovan Peoples-Jones at wide receiver 4 or 5 at this point. You can't even put who I really like, Darius Fountain, there. I liked him in the offseason. He's done nothing on game day, so the Lions going to have to look out and get a wide receiver. And then I think this roster is really good. When we still have questions on Jake Bates, is going to make every single kick. That's not going to be the case. They're going to stick with him. He's going to make errors. He just needs to get better. Maybe we'll see Jack the Goat Fox do kickoffs, and then that would reduce the issues on kickoff for special teams. He could just focus on kicking field goals and extra points. I think that's probably what I would like to see for sure. I think that's probably the most important, even though we haven't seen Jack the Goat Fox do kickoffs. Or they're just going to let him continue to figure this thing out. We don't know right there. Players are going to start being released here very soon. It literally could be any time, right? I mean, other teams are releasing players. We've just seen that. The Lions, they waited last year till the last day, the last minute. I felt like that they were doing it. So they're probably going to do the same thing there. And that absolutely stinks. But we're just going to have to wait a little bit. James Houston is a big question. Will he make the roster? Will he make the 53-man roster? Could they use him as trade bait for a James Houston? For Houston to Houston? No, maybe we need that wide receiver over there. In Houston, Texans, they got a wide receiver we want. We use James Houston potentially as trade bait a little bit. Houston to Houston could be a situation. If he makes the team, he's going to be... I think if he is on this roster, they at least they explored the idea of potentially moving him, but it's hard for me to just straight release this guy because he's going to get picked up off waivers. He has a talent of pass rush, and it's hard to not look at that. I know it's a specialty, but it's a good specialty to have. But so many other players that did good. Isaac Ukwu, right? He did really good in preseason. He showed growth. Mitchell Agude, they showed growth. These guys are the pass rushers too, so... And you think that James Houston has a little bit more worth than they do, right? And they can bring more to the table, in my opinion, in regards to defensive linemen, right? They're better all around. I think they're bigger, maybe by 10, 15 pounds. They're better in the run game. So we'll see what's going to happen here. I don't know. But Houston, in my opinion, is not going to... It just feels like he's not going to get released. He'll be on the team, or he'll make the team and get traded. That's my gut feeling. I don't know anything. Don't have any updates. The truth on it. I'm not inside the building. Couldn't tell you. But that's what my thought process is. Isaiah Williams, in my opinion's made this team. It's just not fair for them to go at Donovan Peoples-Jones over an Isaiah Williams. It's not fair to me. So he's made this team. Shane Zylstra, I feel like, has done more than James Mitchell. I have Shane Zylstra making this team, battling it out for that tight end. Look, there's going to be 4 tight ends, but one's basically fullback, Parker Hesse. So just kind of understand that, yeah, he's in the tight end group, but he does do multiple things. Other players you look at, CJ Moore versus Brandon Joseph. I like Brandon Joseph more. I think his ceiling is higher. But our special teams has been cheeks since this new rule changed. It has been. So maybe they keep a CJ Moore for that. But I'm going to go with Brandon Joseph right there. Linebackers, Ben Needham didn't play in preseason. The final game, week 3, so that means they're probably going to go 6 linebackers. I had 5 initially, and now I go 6 with my prediction because he didn't. But he's good on special teams, so that means, again, 1 position down, especially if you go with 3 quarterbacks. You got to make some sacrifices somewhere. So that's where I got the wide receiver being the sacrificed. There's no one else that deserved to make it. Those 4 are the only ones that make it, in my opinion, that deserve to make a 53-man roster. A couple players got placed on the injured reserve, the NFI list. That's going to reduce some spots open. That will help keep a player maybe like James Houston on the roster until they can figure something out with him. Potentially, that's an option. We'll see. We'll definitely see. Folks, what do you guys think in the comments? These 53-man roster, who's going to make it, who's not going to make it? What do you thought on DJ Reader returning? I think it's great news. I think a whole lot of Lions players returning. I think it's great news. But what do you guys think in the comments as we prepare for the Los Angeles Rams in a big game in 2 weeks? With that said, folks, adios.